All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted. I'm going to be your host and producer, Logan Landers. We got a full slate today. We're talking MFL previews here coming into this next week. Up first, my guy, Jay McLovin. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. We got Frankie on board today. I haven't seen him in a hot minute, so it's good to get his take, especially since one of the games we're talking about is the Patriots and the Cowboys. And I know me and him are going to have some good things to say about that. But real quick, I just wanted to say congrats to Seattle for taking out Texas last night. We still got two more games. We're behind them, Logan. We got to sweep Arizona. Hopefully, maybe Seattle could take two more from Texas. And maybe there's a slight glimmer of hope we can take the division. I don't think it's going to happen, but at the very least, I think we'll get the playoffs some kind of way.
Hey, you still got a shot, my friend. You still got a shot. Well, as Jay mentioned, Frankie C, a.k.a. Foxborough Frankie C. It's been a while, my friend. Glad to see you back on the airwaves.
Yeah, man. It's been a long time since I've been sitting behind a camera. Been doing nothing but working overnights and been tired. But, football season's here, and I decided to show my face and give my preview on my teams the last 3 weeks. Like Jay said, it's Cowboys Patriots football game of America's game of the week. So I couldn't turn this down.
I'm about to say Frankie had to show up, or else Jay was going to be saying stuff like, "Oh, he's." Because we know how Jay. And finally, Justin Reese, our resident stat guy. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. How are you?
Doing well, my friend. Doing well today on this Friday when we are filming. All right, before we get started, check us out on social media, the following platforms: Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, of course, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitch. Live content each and every single week. Check us out on there and interact with us, because we won't do any of this without you, our fans. That's what keeps it going and keeps us making content. All right, y'all. First game of the week, NFL. We are going now into, week 4 now. We got a different start time for this one. This is going to be played in England. We got the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time start. So you get to wake up, get some coffee, get some tea, get some crumpets, whatever you want, and enjoy some football in England. Jay McLovin, you're up to bat first. Who's winning this game?
Yeah, it's going to be really weird watching this game at an odd time. But again, and I didn't know if I'll wake up for this game, but. Falcons Jags. Holy cow! I got Falcons taking this 20-7. This is gonna be a close game, but I will tell you, I don't know if y'all were surprised. It really shocked me. Number one, how well Houston played that game against the Jaguars. It gave them their loss, or one of their losses, I should say. Stroud, man, that guy. I still am not 100% sold on him. But he did have a damn good game against that Jaguars defense. But having said that, if you look at the Falcons, who they play? They play Carolina, Bryce Young. They play Green Bay with Jordan Love making his debut. I really thought they should have taken that Green Bay game. And then, of course, they lost to Detroit. Now, I will say Detroit is looking really, really nice. And as a matter of fact, Detroit even looked really nice last night when they had the Thursday night game. And I tell you that this Detroit club, they're looking more and more legit as the season goes along. But then when you look at the Jaguars and who they faced, KC really was the big team that they faced. Of course, they took the loss there as well. They really should have taken. Jaguars should all inclusively be 2-1 right now. And the fact that they're not 2-1 and they're 1-2, it's too early to get on that train of craziness. but it doesn't look good the way they started off this season. Ritter, 553, 2-1 versus Lawrence at 736, 3-2. Neither one of these guys, I shouldn't say that. I actually had a little bit more belief in Lawrence. I have almost zero belief in Ritter as somebody that you could build a team around. I do believe Lawrence is that guy that you can build around. But again, I think this is going to be the battle of the run game. Bijan Robinson and Algiers versus Travis Etienne. What? I think that's where this game is going to boil down to, is the run game. Atlanta has given up 312 yards, or I shouldn't say given up. Atlanta has accrued 312 yards on their offense to Jaguars 346. Drake London for Ritter really should be the star of this team, but isn't the star of this team. It actually has gone to Bijan Robinson because Ritter, just for whatever reason, can't get the damn ball to him. Hell, Pitts is just as good a damn tight end as Travis Kelce, but he can't show that to you if you don't throw him the damn ball. So there's a lot of issues with Desmond Ritter that I just don't believe in. And unfortunately, guys like Drake London, guys like Pitts are going to be the scapegoats to that, right? Calvin Ridley, 3 for 40 versus the Texans, obviously did not get as involved as he should have been. Algiers Robinson, like I said, that is your go-to guys. And the yards allowed, now this is where it gets kind of interesting. Atlanta has given up 297 to Jacksonville's 353 on defense. But I do think that that the Falcons squeaked this one out 20-17. But at some point, Desmond Ritter, at some point, Atlanta has to realize Desmond Ritter is just not the guy, and they really need to get the guy if they really want to take control over this offense.
Jay, future topic, we'll table it and do it later. Is it Desmond Ritter or is it the play calling in terms of not getting what they want? We'll see. We'll see as the year goes on. All right, Frankie, who's taking this game early a.m. on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm definitely not paying attention to this. I work Saturday nights, and
You sleeping in?
Sundays. Yeah, I sleep in on Sundays. My wife let me sleep in. I told my wife, do not wake me up until before the Patriots game. So I'm not paying attention to this. The only morning game that I can honestly say that I'm gonna be ready and prepared for, and probably extra tired, will be the Germany game between the Patriots and the Colts.
Oh God.
But I honestly, I looked at this game and I think it's a little bit interesting, and I hear Jay's stats and Jay's, Jay's on it, and I like everything that Jay said. But honestly, I kind of like what Atlanta has started to do this year. I mean, this is a team that I had no focus on because the one thing I said, Logan, Jay, you guys remember when we had that guy from Atlanta that came on board to interview with we interviewed. I forgot his name already. It's Logan's boy. I told him, I said, Atlanta is just one quarterback away from taking this division. But honestly, this quarterback, and I understand what Jay said, but this quarterback is honestly holding his ground. He really is. He's got 2 wins for Atlanta right now. He did get a loss. I understand he's not throwing to Pitts. I mean, Pitts isn't looking like, Pitts does get the ball thrown to him, but he's not looking like the Pitts from last year. But Bijan Robinson, man, he's showing why he was the first running back taken off the board in this year's draft, and why he is technically the best running back that was taken off this draft. I like what Atlanta's doing. I like their defense a little bit, not too much, but I like it a little bit. Their offense can improve a little bit more. Like I said, they're a quarterback away from at least taking this division away. Jacksonville, I feel like Jacksonville is a little – they're like a hit and miss type of team right now. I get it. They have Calvin Ridley coming back from his suspension and everything like that. He's kind of, fitting in with this team, and Trevor Lawrence is trying to get him more involved. And Jacksonville does have a type of tight schedule or hard schedule, shall I say. But I honestly, I'm going to have to say I like Atlanta in this game for some reason. I don't know why. It's just Atlanta's been, they really have taken my eye the last 3 weeks. I like what they've been doing, and I really do think that Atlanta can take this game. Also, let's not forget that Trevor Lawrence will be missing one of his wide receivers again. He wasn't playing last week, and he's not playing this week again. and it's pissing me off because I drafted him in fantasy. I drafted the guy in fantasy. He's not playing. So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna go with Jacksonville then if this guy's not gonna play. I can't rely at all on Calvin Ridley. I mean, if you're missing one of your wide receivers, then the coach already knows that he can double team Calvin Ridley, and Trevor Lawrence will just have one more wide receiver to throw to, and who knows if that wide receiver is going to be any good. I mean,
that's a good point.
I do think they still have Christian Kirk. Yes, Christian Kirk can be that guy for them, but I never thought that Christian Kirk was that guy for Jacksonville. But I do have to say I have to pick Atlanta for this one. Can't give a final score. Every time I give a final score, they either go under or they either go over. But I am going with Atlanta on this game.
Yeah, and Dustin, real quick before I get to you, you mentioned Calvin Ridley, Frankie, and this is going to be Calvin's big return game. You know what I mean? Yep. He didn't play last year because he was out with the whole gambling issue. The Falcons traded him to the Jaguars, and I mean, this is going to be his big return.
Suspenseful.
Yeah, but
I didn't even Logan. I'm glad you said it. I wasn't even thinking that, but damn, bro, that could be a huge catalyst for Jacksonville. Honestly,
yeah, no, it really could be. But it'll be interesting to see. All right, Dustin, give me your thoughts and who's going to win this game between Jacksonville and Atlanta.
So apparently, it's got to be in the Jacksonville Jaguars contract that they play in London every single year.
That's their second home, I think.
Yeah, well, if you remember correctly, they play at London next week also.
Oh, you're right.
They have 2 straight weeks in London, so they don't even have to go home after this. They get to hang out there for 2 weeks and enjoy the tea and crumpets for 2 weeks over there.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Yeah, you are right. They play, if I can get to load here, they play the Bills next week. So they get to chill out in London for a whole week.
I mean, keep that in thought, though. Good job, Dustin. But
that's a good catch.
Keep that in thought. They don't have to travel, and they don't have to travel within a different time zone. Mm-hmm. So Jacksonville has an advantage.
Yeah.
They get to sit there for 10 days.
Oh, that is absolutely insane.
They get to sit there for 14 days on that time zone.
I'm sorry, though. If I'm a Jacksonville player and I'm used to eating American hearty food, and all you're going to give me is a weak-ass continental breakfast in the morning, hell no. I can't do continental breakfast for 2 damn weeks.
Hey, Jay, they can live off beans and toast. They'll be all right.
London's got good food, Jay.
Okay. Hey, to be fair, I can't comment on this. I ain't never been out there. I never had the food, so I can't say.
I've been to that part of the world, and the international breakfast was only lacking to me.
Jay said it ain't hitting.
I need pancakes. I need waffles. Hell, I need chicken and waffles. Don't give me these damn Benedict Arnold, whatever that thing. No, hell no. Eggs Benedict. There you go. Don't give me the eggs Benedict. I can eat that so long.
Dustin, back on topic here. All right. Give your thoughts about this game. Give your score.
Well, last year Atlanta was 7-10, and they were a very quiet 7-10 team who also could have won that division in the final couple weeks, but they ended up losing, I think, to Tampa Bay, which gave Tampa Bay the division.
Yes.
And that was with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder both kind of bouncing it between quarterbacks. And now that Arthur Smith committed to Desmond Ridder, you can kind of see him building that offense around Desmond Ridder and his strengths, which is why they drafted Bijan Robinson. They made Tristan Algier kind of a premier back. And people forget to realize they still have Cordero Patterson on this team, too, who has yet to play this year. So that's another option that they're going to have on offense once he comes back that's only going to help Desmond Ridder get better as a player. I think this is more of a must-win game for Jacksonville as opposed to a must-win game for Atlanta because the NFC South, yes, I think it's better than what people expected, but it's still not like a runaway division. I think you can win the NFC South with 9 wins, and I think New Orleans, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay are all going to be kind of in that 8 to 9 win range at the end of the year versus everyone expected Jacksonville to be kind of that runaway team in the AFC South this year, especially when you look at the season they had last year, the way they finished the season last year, and just kind of how everything unfolded. And then you look at where Houston was heading into the offseason, same thing with Tennessee, same thing with Indianapolis, and I don't think anyone expected anybody in that division to compete with Jacksonville. And now you have a Jaguars team who's not only struggled the first 3 weeks of the season, but they really look like a shell of what they did last year. And a lot of that falls on Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence has not looked very good the first 3 weeks. I think this is kind of an opportunity for Jacksonville to kind of get right for this week, because with Buffalo coming to London next week, it's granted Jacksonville has the advantage because they don't have to travel, but it's still the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo is still a better team than what Jacksonville is anyways. But
Right.
I do think Jacksonville is going to win this game. I expect it to be a tight game. I think Jacksonville wins 23-20. But this is kind of that situation now where Jacksonville needs to get rolling in a hurry, because the longer they let the AFC South hang around, the more likely it is that somebody can upset them and take that division at the end of the year.
Okay, yeah. And my quick analysis on this, speaking for the Falcons, is last week their offensive line was just piss poor. I mean, that you could lose some jobs over what they did or did not do last week against Detroit. Detroit got, I believe, 6-7 sacks. And I mean, it's a veteran-led group. They've got some guys on there who've been there for years now. It's not like it's a bunch of new guys. So the offensive line wasn't doing any good. That's why they couldn't get any of their running offense we'd seen over the last 2 weeks with Robinson and Algier, who'd been up to that point looking really good. Ritter had a few throws where he didn't look super comfortable. He skipped a few passes, just not the most confident looking. Their offense just flat out sucked last week. I mean, you couldn't even get a touchdown. All you got was 6 points. And I think this week, I think they'll be a little bit better. Jacksonville, like we said, they're kind of, a little bit disappointing so far. We all thought Jacksonville, is this the year they take that next big step? And I've not quite seen it yet. 1-2 on the season. Lawrence hasn't looked like, a number one overall pick has. I'm not saying he's looked like trash, but he has not lived up to that potential as of yet, at least in terms of this season. So for that, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons getting to win this one. Close game, though. Give me 21-17 with Atlanta getting a slight win in this one in London. All right, fellas, moving on to the next game here, the Tank Bowl here, battle of the potential number one future picks, the Broncos and the Bears. And if you want to watch this game, sure, I'm sure they'll just give it to you for free. If you ask for it at a bar, they'll probably kick you out. So here we go, Broncos, Bears. Dustin, go ahead, talk about this dumpster fire.
I mean, dumpster fire is the key word, because both of these teams are hot garbage at this point. You have the Broncos, who brought in Sean Payton because they thought last year was a dumpster fire with Nathaniel Hackett, and not only has it not gotten any better, but you could argue that it's gotten worse because they just gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins last week. And now you have the Chicago Bears, who were kind of the darlings of the offseason with the money they had, the moves they made, the trade they made to get DJ Moore, and this team looks even worse than it did last year, and they lost 11 games in a row to finish the season last year. You have Justin Fields, who's 5-24 as a starter now, showing no signs of improvement, regressing at a rapid rate that his future in Chicago is becoming more and more unclear by the day. And if you have, with Denver and Washington on their schedule this week and next Thursday, if Chicago does not win one of these two games, you might not see them win a game until December when they face Arizona. And at that point, you're going to be going on over a calendar year between your last win of last season and your first win of this season. And if that's the case, they physically cannot stick with Justin Fields at that point anymore. Because not only are they trotting out a quarterback who has shown no improvements, but you're trotting out a quarterback who's going to get killed because your offensive line is just absolutely terrible. And if you really want him to be your franchise quarterback, you need to figure something out, because at this point, I don't think the Bears are going to be able to hold on to him, because if they get the number one pick and Caleb Williams decides to come out, that's a situation where you cannot pass on Caleb Williams if he's sitting there at number one. Even if you have a guy like Fields, it's going to be a situation where I think it was like when Russell Wilson was drafted to the Seahawks. Seahawks traded to get Matt Flynn, signed Matt Flynn to that 3-year contract. But when they drafted Russell Wilson, it became a situation where he was too good to not start. And then you saw what happened his first 9 years in Seattle. This game, I would not be surprised if it ended in a tie, just because both of these teams are absolutely pathetic. But I'm going to go with Denver mainly because Sean Payton is a better coach than Matt Eberflus, and Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than what Justin Fields is. In terms of a score, let's just go 21-20 Denver.
Oh, man. All right, Frankie, give your analysis on this game as much or as little as you'd like.
Okay. Sorry, I'm eating a Philly cheesesteak right now.
Ooh,
Okay. We're gonna pretend that these two teams are good,
That's hard to
but
do.
it's really hard to do so.
Okay.
Right? It's really hard to do so because you have a coach who won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees,
Yep.
and you just gave up 70 points. That's not a typo. That's not a little stutter. That's not nothing. That's not a miscount. Nothing.
Yeah.
70 points to the Miami Dolphins, something that none of us have seen in NFL history. None of us.
70 points without Waddle too.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Without their second best player. Receiver.
And it's crazy. It's insane. And after seeing that, how can I say this? I have nothing at heart to believe in Sean Payton and Russell Wilson anymore. I really don't. I feel like this team is just a dumpster fire, a horse shit. I don't know, man. It's just this team is just something, and it is showing to me like no matter who's coach, no matter who's the quarterback, this team cannot win. This team really can't win, and I don't have no faith in Denver whatsoever. I don't care the score. I don't care the outcome. Then again, you got the Bears, who, like Dustin said, lost 11 straight last year to end the season. Now losing 3 straight to start the season. That's 14 straight losses in a row dating back to last year. And then again, mind you, this is a team who traded away their first overall pick to get DJ Moore. Then they had a crazy high cap space money and brought in so much talent, and they still can't win. So I don't know, like, is what Justin Fields saying correct? Is it the coaching? Is it the play calling? Is it the offensive coordinator? They already lost their defensive coordinator who resigned, and yet they still lost. I don't know what's going on with both of these franchises. Maybe the truth of what Dustin says is true. Ohio State quarterbacks do not fit well in the NFL. But at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears on this one. I have no faith whatsoever. My faith on the Denver Broncos is probably in the negatives, not even positive. I'm probably like negative 20% having faith in Denver. Probably lower than that. But I'm gonna have to go with the Chicago Bears on this. I think the Chicago Bears get their first win of the season against the Denver Broncos. And if the Denver Broncos lose this game, I do expect that Denver starts looking at potential, like maybe some changes. I don't know. I know for a fact that they're not going to let go of Sean Payton because they just gave up a lot to New Orleans to get Sean Payton, especially to come out of retirement. They're not going to get rid of Russell Wilson because let's not forget, Russell Wilson can still be an elite quarterback. The man put up 20 points last week. At the end of the day, it's the defense that gave up 70 to Miami. So something's going to have to change in Denver, but I'm going to have to go with Chicago on this one.
All right, Jay?
Yeah, I don't know where to start to talk about this. Let's just start at the very beginning with who I think will win in the score, and then we'll kind of work backwards from there. I agree with just about everything Frankie said up until the point where, the Broncos can't get a win. I think this is probably the only game that the Broncos can get a win. And for that, I'm going to have them go 1-17. And the one single win that they get will be against the Bears. And that's not saying anything. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Both of these teams are embarrassing in their own rights. Both of these teams are dysfunctional in their own right. But I'm going to give the Broncos just a little bit of slack, and I'm going to explain why. Eberflus and everything that this Bears team is him. The quarterbacks, all the free agents that they brought in last year, the plethora of draft picks that they brought in. They brought in DJ Moore, and even Kansas City defense is telling DJ Moore, yo, your coaches don't know how to use you. Your quarterback is telling you they don't know how to use me. Not even if they used him the right way, I still think he sucks. But even still, let's give him a little bit of credit on that part. This whole Bears team is just a clusterfuck, and it started ever since Eberflus. Actually, it started before Eberflus, but it continued on after Eberflus got there. I think even Dustin pointed out the last time they had a winning season was when Lovie Smith was there, and God knows that's been a hot minute.
No, they had Matt Nagy in 2018.
Fuck Matt Nagy. I'm just trying to tell you it's been a hot minute. Let's just put it that way. The Broncos, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of ways you can look at it. You can take that embarrassing loss, and believe me, it was embarrassing. And you can say, oh, my God, this team will never bounce back. There's two ways people respond to an embarrassing loss like that. They're either going to snap back or they're just going to snap out. I think that, and I know Sean Payton and his history, I think this team snaps back. But I do think if Van Joseph isn't fired by now, I think it's just a matter of time before he is gone. I'm going to give Sean Payton a little bit of leeway because this really is a team that he inherited and not a team that he specifically built. So I'm going to give him some leeway here. Not much, but I'm going to give him some leeway. Van Joseph never made an adjustment as a defensive coordinator, and that's why he's garbage dog poo-poo and needs to be gone as of yesterday. They made no defensive adjustments. But I will say, if there is a bright spot of the Broncos versus the Bears, yes, they got their ass kicked by Miami. Oh, and by the way, it should have been more, but McDaniel kind of took it easy and kind of nailed and put his second string and didn't really try to score much after they got to 70 because they really could have broke the record. The record, I think, was 72 points. They could have broke that record, and they could have broke it easily. So let's be honest. It kind of was even worse than 70. It's just, Miami had a little bit. I don't know why you're going to go to 50 points and not go ahead and do it. But for whatever reason, I guess morality hit him at the end and said, I'll just take a couple of knees here. Whatever it is. Washington, they lost to Washington by 2. They lost to Vegas by 1. But when you look at the Bears, they're just blown out all over the place. Not so much blown out, but Kansas City blew them out 41-10. Understandable. Tampa Bay, 27-17. Green Bay, 38-20. So, again, even though the Miami loss is horrible, it is to an understandable Miami team, just like the Bears was understandable to KC. But when you look at the teams before then, the Bears were already getting their butts kicked anyway. I don't know. It still is 2 crappy teams. I'm just trying to make one crappy team just a little bit less crappy, or maybe even give them a little bit of hope or optimistic viewpoints. I don't think any hope or optimistic viewpoints could ever come to the Chicago Bears. Pure and simple. Quarterbacks, like you said, you can break it down for however you want to break it down. The running backs, when Fields is your leading running back, come on. When Fields is your leading running back, that's a problem. Khalil Herbert, where you at? Deontay Foreman, where you at? Good God, Chicago does not use 4 the right way. 358, 277, 469, 410. Those are the numbers. The numbers are better for Denver than they are Chicago. But at the end of the day, I hope Sean Payton just guts the hell out of this team. Maybe keep Jerry Jeudy, but just go ahead and gut this team. Chicago, you need to gut your team too, and both y'all need to start from scratch all over again with whatever draft picks you can get. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, I will tell you this, only quarterback out of Ohio that I actually have a little bit of, and it's very small, but a little bit of hope in, truthfully, is C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud.
Well, hey, that's another topic for another day. We might get to that. That's a good one, though.
By the way, I had to score 21-10 Broncos.
For me, I don't care who wins this game. I don't care who loses this game. Give me the Broncos 7-3. Russell Wilson will get a touchdown in a game that everyone will cry and want to go home immediately after. Tickets need to be free. All right, on to an actual good game now. We have the Dolphins and the Bills. Let's kick things off. Both these teams are in your division, so you get the first crack at it. Who do you want to see, I guess, more so lose in this matchup? How about the Patriots?
I want to see Buffalo lose more. And it's not because, it's not because of the hatred I got for Buffalo. I hate Buffalo. I really do. I hate the Giants and the Jets more, but I like Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs. I like James Cook. I like James Cook. And I also like Gabe Davis. But it's just something. It's probably got to be with the fan base for me with the Buffalo Bills. You know, Buffalo has one of the trash talkest, shittiest fan base in the NFL. To me, I know other people will say Dallas and other people will say Patriots. You know, our fan base is all trash and stuff like that. To me, Buffalo, their fan base is one of the worst. I don't like them, and that's just because for experience, I went to a Buffalo game. My wife's a Miami Dolphins fan. You know, and I kind of like to see my wife this year. My wife this year is more involved with football than I've ever seen her before. I'm telling you, when I had my wife come last week and she's just throwing stats at me for some reason, all of a sudden she's just throwing stats at me because the Dolphins scored 70 points, and I'm just looking at her like, really? Like, where did this come out? Like, did you know that the Dolphins scored 300 rushing and 300 passing? And I'm just like, babe, really? Okay, let it out. I'm loving it. It's showing that she's having faith in her team. And I like what Tua has done. You know, he's having a kind of a story where, you know, if potentially people thought that his career was over before it started in the NFL, and he's coming out and he's showing that he's still the guy from last year that started. Mind you, they started 3-0 last year as well. Compared to this year, they're starting 3-0. His stat record is the same as last year. I've seen that it's if not, the touchdown ratio is at least one more or two more touchdowns from what he had last year. But you know, let's look at it. The Dolphins, you scored 70 points last week against the trashiest Broncos team that we've ever seen in the NFL. That was without Jalen Waddle, so we didn't get to see no Waddles in the end zone. They have a rookie running back who scored 50 points for Logan, who he benched last week in fantasy. And I'm going to continue to say that to Logan until the end of time because you had a running back on your bench that scored you 50 points.
And my rebuttal, real quick, my rebuttal is up till last week he had, I think, like 5 points combined. Come on. He jumped from like number 85 to number 6. I mean, come on. Who could have expected that?
That's football.
It is.
Glenn Richardson, who's also in our fantasy, has David Montgomery. He benched him last night, and David Montgomery ended up scoring over 30 points on the bench for this guy.
Fantasy football is a cool game.
Yeah, it's football, man, and I get it. But when you have everyone on your team that's doing something, not just starters, but bench players as well, you have coaches that are coaching really well. You have your second string quarterback, who, by the way, is Mike White. You guys remember Mike White from last year in the New York Jets? That's the man that actually had him. I came out and I said Mike White is the first New York Jet player that ever earned my respect. Literally, ever. He was the first Jets player that has ever earned my respect last year because of how he played. And the man played really well. And he came out last week because, you know, Tua and the Dolphins were up about like 60-something to 20 against the Broncos last week, and they decided to bring in Mike White, and the man comes out and he's throwing touchdowns. So it's like when you have a team that is how should I say, that is combined together as one to still win you games, that just shows that, you know, they're in it for a fight. They're in there they want to win. And I like what the Dolphins are doing. Mind you, it's my division. I haven't gotten a chance to face the Dolphins yet this year. Or actually, we did. We played them in week 2 and we lost, but we didn't give up 70 points. They didn't even get to 20 points on us. So that goes to show that our defense is better than the Broncos. But the Dolphins are really good this year. They're a really good team. And I feel like if the Buffalo Bills lose this game, the Patriots have a more better shot to challenge against Miami than they do against Buffalo. And the reason for that was because of the week 2 game that I've seen between the Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. When the second game comes around in a couple of weeks, I know we play them in a couple of weeks right after the Buffalo Bills. When we played them the first time, we played Dolphins right after them. If we can get a 1-1 season record against them, a lot can change in our division. So what I'm looking at right now is I'm hoping that Miami can get this win over Buffalo. It's going to be hard because it is at Buffalo, and you know, Buffalo knows how to win in Buffalo. The last 2 games, they showed us that, you know, they're the Buffalo of last year. They score in high points. They're getting touchdowns. They're getting rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen is looking like Josh Allen. Week 1 was more of a hiccup for them, losing to the Jets and Zach Wilson. I can't even say Aaron Rodgers because the man only played 4 plays. So you lost to Zach Wilson and the Jets. But they turned it around and they won the last 2 games by high-scoring games, by scoring over 30. But when you have a Miami team who literally only one game scored under 20 points, but every other game they scored I think they scored a 40-point in week 1 with the Chargers, and then in week 3 they scored 70. This is a team that's already over 100 points in the season of scoring touchdowns. It's going to be an interesting game, but for me, I'm going to have to go with Miami on this one.
All right, let's see. Dustin, you're up next.
I'm a little disappointed this game isn't the game of the week at 3:00, but it is what it is.
That's because you got the Patriots and the Cowboys. We're more important. That game
should be 7 o'clock.
That's up next.
That should be 7 o'clock, Frankie. But
go ahead.
Last week on the show, I said I was very close to saying Miami was the team to beat in the AFC, and then after the performance they had last week, I'm going to say that Miami is the team to beat in the AFC right now, right up there with Buffalo and right up there with Kansas City. This game right here, it's going to be a statement game one way or another. If Buffalo does what they typically do at home and play the way they typically do at home and end up beating Miami, then that's kind of the statement win for Buffalo to basically say that week 1 was a fluke and they weren't ready to play in week 1, and now they're kind of back to the Bills of old. But if Miami can go into Buffalo, where they did win once last year out of the 2 times they were in Buffalo and almost won the second time also, and get to 4-0 and actually kind of look good doing it, that's not only a statement game in the AFC, but that's a statement to the rest of the NFL that Miami is not going to go anywhere this year. They have the offense to score points. Adding Vic Fangio to that coaching staff has now drastically improved that defense, which is going to help them in the playoffs because ultimately your defense is what's going to help you win championships. Yes, the offense will win you games and get you to the playoffs, but if you don't have a consistent defense, you're not going to go too far in the playoffs. They're not going to score 70 points this week, and they might not score 30 points this week just because Buffalo does have a good defense themselves. But I'm going to ride with Miami right now until Miami loses. I'm going to go 27-24 Miami.
And Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, again, this is going to be a statement game because this is really the only 2 teams in that division. And Frankie, I think you'll give me that one. This really is the only 2 teams in that division that are really vying for first and second. I think New England is right there at third, and I think not the New England, but they're just kind of refining themselves under Bill O'Brien and getting back on track. So I'm cutting my New England a little bit of slack here, but I think Miami and Buffalo are the 2 biggest teams in that division going at it for for number 1 spot, right? Or actually, if Buffalo beats Miami, then they'll actually be tied at 3 apiece or 3-1. When you look at Miami, they had, like you said, the crushing defeat at 70-20. They go play New England. They get them 24-17. But the first real test for Miami was that Chargers game for various reasons. Number 1, Chargers have a really good team. We know what that offense can do. Even though Mike Williams is out, that's still a damn good offense with Eckler and company, both on the defensive side. That Chargers team is still really good. That was their really first test. And it was to test if Tua could really come back from those concussions. So he kind of passed, obviously, test number 1 at 36-34. This is their second test as to where this Miami team really is. And I'll be honest with you, just like Frankie said, there was no Waddle. This team, that word that Frankie was looking for was in sync, otherwise known as in the zone, otherwise known as full-on chemistry. This team is just there. They are there. They are defensively. They are there coachingly. They are field general on offensively. This team is clicking on all cylinders. And this game is going to be the offense of Miami against the defense of Buffalo. Because Buffalo's only given up 275 yards in the 3 games, or an average of 275 yards in the games that they played. And I think Miami is averaging around 552 on offense. So this will be Miami's offense versus Buffalo's defense. I can tell you how great Mostert is on both sides, right? Receiving and running. I would say action there, however you want to say that rookie's name, is just crazy. Tyreek is Tyreek. Again, Waddle is still kind of the unknown there, if he'll play or not play. Diggs and Davis, I mean, that's a combo unlike any other, right? But ultimately, this game's going to come down to offense of Miami versus defense of Buffalo. If you look at what Buffalo's done, they beat out a really crappy Washington team or maybe a 500 ball club there. Las Vegas, no offense, Logan, but they're probably a 500 team as well, 38-10. And then they lose to the crappiest team of all because, like Frankie said, Aaron Rodgers was not even there, really. 4 snaps, what's that? That's just to get them warmed up? No, they lost in overtime to the Jets of Zach Wilson, who is the poster child of embarrassment. Even when Joe Namath is calling you out, take heed to what he's saying. 35-28, and that's only because I'm being lucky there. 35-28, Miami over Buffalo.
I got to go with the hot hand or super hot in this point, so I'm going to go with Miami getting the win in this one. I mean, the Dolphins 33 and giving the Buffalo Bills 30. I think it's going to be a really good ball game. Miami just edges it out in the end. All right, we've made it, fellas. For the love of God, it's time. All right, so
Can I go get my popcorn first? I'll go last.
no, we won't have them duking it out first. So we'll go first.
I don't know if that much it really is a duke out, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
actually,
we're
hold
not
on.
gonna duke it out today. We're gonna save it for Sunday.
Okay, all right. Frankie said he wants to go first. He texted that to me. So Frankie,
No, hey, please, by all means, let Frankie go first.
Yeah, I have to go pick up my twins from pre-K. Yeah, so this Sunday, man, America's game of the week, New England versus Dallas. This is the game I've been waiting for a full season. Last year we lost to Dallas in overtime with a CeeDee Lamb touchdown pass in the beginning seconds, and we didn't get a shot to even get on the field. But this is a different New England Patriots team. Mind you, yes, we are 1-2. But let's look at it. Mac Jones has been looking like the Mac Jones of his rookie year when he was under Josh McDaniels, and now looking, real good with Bill O'Brien. I'm liking what this team is doing. Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott, they've been doing what they got to do. Kendrick Bourne been doing what he's got to do. Devontae Parker catching some catches last week. Juju Smith-Schuster's getting pissed because he's not getting catches. But then again, let's not forget, Juju's dealing with some type of knee issue that was, announced before the season has started, to where it's been explained that if he makes one bad move or gets one bad hit, his knee can explode. Don't know what the hell that means. Hopefully he doesn't have to get amputated or anything like that. But, I can see that. Hunter Henry doing Hunter Henry things for Mac Jones. Mike Gesicki doing what he's doing for what we signed him for. But we just aren't getting the wins. Let me remind you, though, this Patriots team is good defensively. And like Jay said the last segment, this team is also finding themselves again offensively. And it's not bad. It's not bad. The first 3 weeks of the game or the season, we have faced tough teams. We really have. We faced the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1. Mind you, we lost by a couple of points. We could have won that game, but it came down to, us not scoring quickly in the first half. We had to come from behind in the second half, but we made it into a fight with the Philadelphia Eagles. Miami Dolphins, a team who just scored 70 points. We held them under 20 points. Under 20 points, we held them under, and we only lost by, I think, 4 points against the Miami Dolphins. That's another team that's really good. And mind you, they had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in that game. Christian Gonzalez is Rookie of the Month for the New England Patriots of the AFC. And it's showing why Bill Belichick went and got him in the first round. I'm really, really liking what this team is doing compared to a Dallas Cowboys team who just lost to Josh Dobbs. Let me say it again so that Jay can hear it and be really sad. The Dallas Cowboys have lost to Josh Dobbs. Who? Josh Dobbs. Yeah. Of the Arizona Cardinals. Who? The Arizona Cardinals. Yeah. A team who we thought before the season had started was tanking. Just 2 weeks ago, they were beating the hell out of the New York Giants. Mind you, they did lose because they let the Giants come back and stuff like that. But God, they were not letting the Cowboys do that to them. And I like what they did with the Cowboys last year. It showed me, and it showed me that we can do what they did, but even better because we have a better defense, we have better players, we have a better offense, we have a quarterback that's true, not a guy named Josh Dobbs, but a guy named Mac Jones. We have an offensive coordinator who knows what he's doing, and we have a head coach who's one of the greatest head coaches of all time, right? So I feel like this is going to be a good game. It really is. I'm not going to say either team can blow out either team. It can happen like that, but it's not going to happen like that. Jay's a little nervous. And I know Jay's a little nervous, and let me tell you why Jay's a little nervous. Because Ezekiel Elliott is now on my squad on a plane heading back to Dallas to get revenge for them not re-signing him. Ezekiel Elliott's going to show off on Dallas. And I know because last week they were giving Ezekiel Elliott a lot of reps to warm them legs up because when we go to Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott's going to go off on Dallas. He's going to go off on Dallas. And Jay, can you name me the quarterback that you guys let go at week 3 preseason before you guys got what's his guy's name from San Francisco? What's his name? He was in San Francisco.
We got Trey Lance from San Francisco. We let go of Will Grier, I think his name was.
Yes. The New England Patriots have signed Will Grier as the third-string quarterback. We have 2 players from the Dallas Cowboys who knows that playbook and knows those plays, and a quarterback who literally was just on that franchise with new plays, if they even made new plays because of Ezekiel Elliott. So this is a little bit on the Patriots side right now of having an advantage of having 2 former Cowboys that know this system really well, that knows this team, that knows the players, that knows the coaches. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the quarterback Will is over there telling Bill Belichick, like, hey, you know, he's on the sideline. He's next to Bill Belichick. He's seeing some formations and stuff of Dak Prescott in the offense. He's over there telling Bill, like, hey, they're going to throw a screen route. They're about to run it. Dak's going to throw in the middle. Like, he's gonna help Bill Belichick out for some reason. I know it. And I know Jay's a little scared of it. But I'm going to go ahead and be my guy. I'm going to be me. I'm going to go with the Patriots. Final score, 21-17.
All right. Well, first off, Frankie, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's always a pleasure. We look forward to talking with you again on some more previews and whatnot. All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yes, you guys too. Talk to you guys later.
All right. See you, man. All right. I don't know. Dustin, you want to go next? Did you want Jay to have his response?
Yeah, Jay can take his response.
All right, Jay. Go ahead.
Well, like typical fashion, he comes in here and spouts off at the mouth, and then he quickly vacates the scene because he doesn't want to know the truth. It's okay. Sometimes people just have to hide from the truth. They don't want to face it. It's all good. I love Frank. He's my boy. He is my boy. And we did beat them last year, and we're going to beat them this year too. The problem with it is, and the problem with this argument is, yes, did we lose to Arizona? Yes, we did, 20-16. Did we have Baez out? Did we have Martin out? Was Tyrone Smith out? Was 3 number 1 offensive linemen out that game? And did we have our subs in versus Arizona? Sure did. So I'm not saying that's an excuse, but come on. You can't have 3 number 1 guys on our offensive line out and think you're going to just go in there and do what you normally do. I think Burrow is a classic example of that. When you don't have a good offensive line or when your offensive line is banged up, shit happens in the weeds. It just does. I don't care who your quarterback is. But even with that being said, let's be honest. Frankie was right. They played Philly, they played Miami, and they lost. 2 great teams. They barely squeaked by a Jets team, which we all know is dog poo-poo. Arizona, yes, they did beat us, but Arizona did beat the Giants, but we also had 3 offensive linemen out. So I'm gonna let that loss kind of resonate off to the side for a minute because we blew the doors off the Jets and we blew the doors off the Giants. Not that those are great teams, they're okay teams. But if you want to look at it by the stats, if you want to look at it by the numbers, truthfully, the Cowboys and New England are about the same. If you look at their numbers, you're not going to find a whole hell of a lot of difference. Except, yes, they do have the better coach. But I also believe in what the Cowboys can do. And I think that if our offensive linemen are back, you can't tell me that that New England has better running or better wide receiver core than CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, Cooks, and Jake Ferguson at the tight end spot and Pollard in the backfield, because I think that's clearly wrong. I will tell you this, Cowboys are not a Super Bowl contending team, but we are good enough to beat the New England freaking Patriots. I promise you that. We will beat the New England Patriots. And I think it will be a close score. I don't think it's going to be anything runaway. I'm looking at probably, I would say 21-14 Cowboys.
All right, Justin?
Well, this is obviously going to be the game of the week because of the history of the two franchises. You have arguably the most successful franchise of the 1980s and 1990s, the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the most successful franchise basically since 2000 in the New England Patriots. This does not have the Tom Brady effect anymore because Tom Brady's not there and Mac Jones is there, so it does lose some of the lust for that side of it, but it's still going to be a good game because you still have Dak Prescott, who's playing, I think, better this year than he did at any point last year. You have Mac Jones, who's started to show signs of improving, but that tends to happen when you actually have a competent offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien calling the plays as opposed to Mr. Obese Matt Patricia calling the plays. And then you have two outstanding defenses, one that is being run by Dan Quinn of the Cowboys, and then the other one that's going to always be run by Bill Belichick over there in New England, mixed in with a couple other assistants with him. It's just going to be a great game, and I mean, I could see either team winning. If this game was in New England, I would probably lean New England's way, but with this, is this game in New England or is that Dallas?
I think it's in New England.
Let me check. Hold up.
I might be wrong on that because I didn't write that. I did not write that down, but I think it's in New England.
Dallas.
Is it in Dallas?
It is.
So if this game was in New England, I would lean New England's way. But with this game being in Dallas, I'm going to lean Dallas's way. But I think it's going to be a 20-17 overtime win for Dallas. I just think it's going to be a very low-scoring, physical, defensive game. I just think that Dallas will find a way to win, but I'm not going to be surprised if New England finds a way to win.
Yeah, this is honestly, I think it's going to be kind of a toss-up. I mean, two teams who had a good bit of expectations, and like I said, Jay, so far, you'll be doing good up till the other week. Had a rough injury with Trayvon Diggs. Patriots, we thought that coming in this year, maybe they'd be, I don't know about, top of the top in the East, but maybe doing a little bit better or so. But I mean, you got two quarterbacks, Prescott, Jones. Prescott's been there league a little bit longer, but I mean, it's kind of tough. But I'm going to go with Dallas getting the win. Close ball game, as I think we're all going with here. Let's see. Give me Dallas 30 and give me New England 27. Once again, close ball game, another 3-pointer. So, I mean, this is a close game, though. It's going to be a really close one, and it's going to be fun to watch. All right, final game, Monday night ball game here. We got the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. Yeah, it's going to be in New York, 8 o'clock, 8:15 start. Who's winning this one on Monday night? It's going to be Seattle. It's going to be New York. Jay, I'll let you start first.
Yeah, absolutely. Seattle's 2-1. I think Giants are 1-2. It's in Seattle. I just don't think the Giants are going to be able to get back on track for a little while. Obviously they took their one win was against Arizona, and that was a super late come from behind win. I just don't think they get that lucky with the Seattle Seahawks team, who played Carolina, got the win in Detroit, which, that Detroit team, like I said, is playing pretty damn good. They did take the loss to the Rams, but this Rams team with that young receiving core and such is also playing good. So I just feel like I think this is Geno's day. Geno's, he's having a pretty decent season, right? 71 for 103, 736, 4 TDs and a interception. But Jones, not so good. 562, 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And I think because of Jones, and I don't even know how well is Barkley back? Or is Breda taking the snap?
Let me check because I have Barkley on fantasy.
That's pretty important.
I don't need to play him.
It says that he's practicing, which is a good sign, but
yeah,
it looks like
still listed as questionable. So yeah.
So it's a pretty much game time decision.
I just think Walker the third for Seattle. 47 carries, 204 on the yardage, and 4 touchdowns. Even if Barkley's playing, Barkley's kind of one of them guys you got to be patient with, stuff like that, Breda, whatever. I think the run game goes to Seattle. I think the passing game goes to Seattle. They got the better wide receivers The only thing I would say that Giants have better is a tight end and Waller. Quite honestly, New York's 277 of offense to 349 average of Seattle. And then when you look now, I will say this: Seattle does give up 418 yards to the opposing offense, whereas New York only gives 365. So if you want to call it that, you can call it that. But I doubt that the New York Giants are going to put 418 yards on this Seattle defense. And because of that, I definitely have Seattle taking it. I'm going to go, let's see, I'm going to go with that Detroit, I'm going to go with that Carolina score at 37-20. I don't even think they get 27, man. I think it's going to be 30. I'm going to go 35-14 Seattle over Giants.
All right, Dustin, your final thoughts on this last game of this final game of the week here.
Why is it that the Monday night schedule has been complete shit this year?
I don't know. You tell
Do
me.
they not have like a rule in the NFL where they can flex out Monday night games from the beginning of the season and just be done with it? Because every single Monday night game, for the most part, has been either really crappy, they've had somebody get injured, or they're just completely low scoring and pointless games that nobody wants to watch. I don't think this is going to be low scoring, but I don't think it's going to be close either. I think Seattle's just going to run them right out of CenturyLink Field and pack the Giant suitcases and send them on their way back to LaGuardia. I think Seattle's going to win 34-17. And yeah, Giants are just not the same Giants team that they were last year. And I understand that they wanted to lock Daniel Jones up because of how he played last year. But Saquon Barkley is the most important piece on that team. And by extending Daniel Jones for what you gave him the money for, you may not be able to extend Saquon Barkley at this point, and you're seeing just how inept that Giants offense is when they don't have Saquon Barkley on the field.
Okay. Well, my thoughts for this one, man. Monday night game, the Giants just ain't look good. Daniel Jones ain't look good either. So I'm gonna go with Seattle getting win this one. I trust Geno Smith a little more, former New York Giant at that. And I think the Seattle, along with Kenneth Walker, what he's doing in the backfield is doing pretty good this year. So give me Seattle in this one. I'm going to go with the Seahawks winning 34, and I'll give New York. I'll go New York 10. I don't know. I'm not feeling this all, especially if Barkley doesn't play. I'm not feeling it at all. So that is it, fellas. That's it for our Week 4 recaps or previews, actually. Hopefully, like I said, all of our teams get the wins. It's going to be a good week. And best of luck to all of our respective regular teams and fantasy teams in Week 4. Jay McLovin, Dustin Reese, Frankie Cruz, who is not here, had to go pick up his daughters from preschool. Appreciate all y'all coming on. It's always a pleasure, guys. And until next time, hey, once again, check us out, social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Not Twitter anymore, X. It's going to be hard to get used to that. And all those other ones on there. Once again, check out Linktree. Easiest way to find all of it, though, in the description of all of our episodes. Once again, Jay, Dustin, Frankie, been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Enjoy the rest of your nights, everyone, and we'll talk to you again on another live episode of Unscripted. We'll see you soon.